let's take a fundamentally different approach, a different perspective on pricing. And when we understand the purpose of pricing, how it fits into the entire narrative of the story that we're telling with our product or service, then we can also take a look later at how we could increase price, on how we can get something that was maybe $100 and 10x it to $1,000. So the first thing you have to understand is that price is a signal of our product or service. It points to an aspect of it. And what I mean by that is, let's say there's two similar products. One is $100, one is $1,000. The $1,000 one, people will believe it's worth more because the price signals that there's value. It's a shorthand for us to understand the value of something without having to understand all the intricate details. Right? We're not going to become an expert in your domain to be able to justify or to be able to look at the price and be able to justify it. We're going to take your word for it. All right. So this is a common tactic a lot of confidence people will use to get people to buy things that are kind of worthless. If I have a coin or something and then it looks valuable, and then I can say, hey, this is actually worth $10,000 or something, like, you get the idea. So price is a signal. It points to, it's a shorthand for how people should understand what your product or service is. And by the flip side, your product or service has to match that, right? If your marketing isn't done in such a way that it supports that price, if functional signals, if other touch points aren't there, then you won't be able to justify it. So back to the analogy of the coin, if I try to sell you this coin for $10,000, the functional signals have to match. Now, if you go get it appraised and they look at it and say, hey, this is just, a copper alloy, it's going to get tossed. Versus if they take it and say, hey, this is a 24 karat gold, now you're onto something. Right? So that's functional signals and touch points. Like, what is the experience? Does the experience create something? Because when we look at pricing, it's not so much about meeting spec, meeting a certain criteria that meets a price, because that list doesn't exist. It's not about meeting spec. It's about aligning with your story, your entire narrative of what is this product or service about. If I'm selling wine and it's going to be a high vintage, exclusive, limited quantity, a rare terroir, like all these different things, then it helps if the price matches that narrative. And it detracts if the price doesn't match that narrative. If that bottle is only $100, the rest of the story doesn't make sense anymore. Even though it might be rare, great, exclusive, whatever it is. All right, so your price must assist the story that you're trying to tell. And that's in the context of how your consumers perceive price. Because some people will see that bottle of wine and not see how it reflects, or they might have a belief that $100 is already a lot, so it does align with their story. Whereas some other people will say, okay, $1,000 now makes sense for that bottle, so it aligns with them. But if it was $100 for them, it wouldn't make sense. Right? So who are you serving? It comes back to that question. Who are the people you choose to serve? All right. Next thing. So first, we realize that price, all it is a shortcut. It's a shorthand for people to understand us, because they're not going to be domain experts. So it's a shortcut for them to understand it. And also, it has to support the story that we're trying to tell. All right. And then finally, your price is, the ability for you to raise your price is going to be determined by how well of a story you narrate, how well of a feeling you can create, how much of meaning you can impact someone with. It's not going to be about function. All right. Commodities these days fulfill function. You see a lot of Chinese knockoffs. They do a relatively good job at keeping function, maybe like 90% of the function. All right. So it's about the feelings you give. All right. So of course, in some cases, function really matters. That 0.1% really matters. And that 0.1% gives someone the feeling of security. And that is worth it to them. That's meaningful to them. Right? But many times, it's not about that 0.1%. Many times, it's about the other feelings. It's about other feelings. Can this help them gain status? Can this give them a sense of belonging? Right? If I gave you a $100 steak, it would probably exist in the realm of function. The perfect sear, properly, like perfect medium rare, or however you like it cooked, perfectly seasoned. It's all functional. And now if you go into the realm of a $1,000 steak, you have to create a story around this. You have to create feelings. That person has to walk into an environment like the restaurant itself is part of the story. That restaurant itself should help that person feel something, to feel that, hey, you are worthwhile. Hey, you are someone important. The service has to reflect that, right? All these things, all these elements of the story, elements of the narrative, support that ultimate feeling. And when we can support a feeling, when we can move someone across the feelings axis, not the function axis, then we create something truly meaningful. And we're willing to pay for meaningful stuff. All right? So, price is a shorthand. It's how people understand you. Price must be in alignment with the story that you tell. If you're trying to say that you're cheap, your prices better be cheap. Right? If you're trying to say that you're exclusive and high quality, but your prices are the same as that cheap guy, it doesn't make sense. And people start wondering why. Right? They don't see it as, oh wow, this is a steal. This is some value. I can't pass up on this. They can if they took the time to understand you, but that's typically not what happens. Right? It's more valuable to them if you're able to create alignment with the story that you're telling. You actually create more value in that sense. Otherwise, they just think they're getting a steal. And finally, to raise price, we work on feelings, not function. We work on getting people to create a feeling by giving them a lot of meaning, to be meaningful to them. All right? We would much rather engage with something that we find meaningful than something we don't find meaningful. That the people closer to you and like family members are worth way more to you because of the meaning than a stranger. All right? So hopefully that clarifies your understanding on pricing, and that gives you some ideas on how to play with this game, how to play with this dynamic of pricing, of perception, of storytelling, and ultimately creating meaning out of thin air, which is the magic of marketing, and delivering on it, because reality is but what we make of it. All right. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.